A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a little green Jedi Master taught us more about Buddhism than we ever realized. Welcome to the inaugural episode of our brand new series, where we dive deeper into the profound influence of Buddhism on pop culture. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. Imagine you're on the swampy planet of Dagobah, ready to start your Jedi training. You're expecting to find a wise, old monk, but instead, you come face to face with the most unlikely Buddhist teacher of all time, Master Yoda himself. Now, you might be scratching your head thinking, how can a fictional pint-sized alien with a weird way of talking teach me anything about personal growth and spirituality? Well, my young Padawan, prepare to have your mind blown. As Yoda once said, truly wonderful the mind of a child is. So grab your lightsaber, put on your Jedi robes, and get ready for a journey that's equal parts hilarious and enlightening. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Oh, and one more thing. Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched the Star Wars movies yet, first of all, what have you been doing with your life? And second, you might want to pause this video and go binge watch them all right now. Don't worry, we'll wait for you. Patience you must have, my young Padawan. Get ready to see your favorite pop culture icons in a whole new light. Trust me, you'll never look at Yoda the same way again.
Judge me by my size, do you?
All right, my fellow Padawans, let's dive right into the heart of today's topic with a thought-provoking question. What do you think Yoda would say about the nature of suffering? Take a moment to ponder this. In the Star Wars universe, we see Yoda as a wise and powerful Jedi Master, but have you ever considered how his teachings might relate to the Buddhist concept of dukkha, or suffering? Picture this scene from The Empire Strikes Back. Luke Skywalker, our eager young hero, is struggling to master the ways of the Force. He's frustrated, impatient, and riddled with self-doubt. Sound familiar? We've all been there, right? That's when Yoda drops this bombshell. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Mind blown, right? But wait, there's more. This simple yet profound statement encapsulates a fundamental Buddhist teaching, the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth states that life is suffering, or dukkha. But what does this really mean? Suffering in the Buddhist sense doesn't just refer to physical pain or emotional anguish. It's the persistent feeling that something is off or unsatisfactory in our lives. It's the nagging sense that we're not quite whole or content, even when things seem to be going well. And that's precisely what Yoda is pointing out to Luke. By giving in to his fears and negative emotions, Luke is creating his own suffering. He's allowing his mind to be consumed by anger, hatred, and doubt, which only leads him further away from the peace and balance he seeks. But here's the kicker. Yoda doesn't just leave us hanging with this harsh reality check. Like any good Buddhist teacher, he offers a path forward. And that, my friends, is where the real adventure begins. So as we continue our journey through the wisdom of Yoda and Buddhism, keep this question in mind. How can we, like Luke, learn to recognize and overcome the root causes of our suffering? Get ready to uncover some mind-blowing insights that will forever change the way you view your own struggles and challenges.
Much to learn, you still have.
Now let's take a closer look at the enigmatic figure of Yoda and explore how his character embodies the essence of Buddhist teachings. When we first meet Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back, he appears as a peculiar, mischievous creature living in the swamps of Dagobah. Luke, our impatient hero, dismisses him as a mere annoyance, failing to recognize the profound wisdom beneath the surface. How often do we overlook the greatest life lessons because they come in unexpected packages? But as the story unfolds, we discover that Yoda is not only a Jedi Master, but also a being who has transcended the limitations of the material world. He possesses a deep understanding of the Force, which, in many ways, parallels the Buddhist concept of interconnectedness. In Buddhism, the idea of interconnectedness suggests that all living beings are intricately linked and that our actions have far-reaching consequences. Similarly, Yoda teaches that the Force binds all things together, and that by tapping into this universal energy, we can achieve great wisdom and power. But here's the fascinating part. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, has openly acknowledged the influence of Buddhism on his work. In fact, he has stated that Yoda's character was inspired by the Buddhist concept of the Bodhisattva, an enlightened being who postpones their own nirvana to help others achieve liberation. Think about it. Yoda, like a bodhisattva, dedicates his life to guiding and teaching others, even in the face of great adversity. He embodies the Buddhist virtues of compassion, wisdom, and selflessness, always putting the needs of others before his own. Throughout the Star Wars saga, we see Yoda imparting his knowledge to various characters, from Luke Skywalker to Count Dooku. He teaches them to let go of their attachments, to find balance within themselves, and to cultivate a deep understanding of the Force. These teachings closely mirror the Buddhist path to enlightenment, which emphasizes the importance of non-attachment, mindfulness, and inner peace. But Yoda's connection to Buddhism goes beyond mere philosophical similarities. Even his physical appearance seems to draw inspiration from Buddhist iconography. With his wrinkled skin, elongated ears, and small stature, Yoda bears a striking resemblance to the Buddhist deity Buddha, often depicted as a jolly, bald monk with a large belly and a smile on his face. Of course, we can't say for certain that George Lucas intentionally modeled Yoda after Buddha, but the parallels are hard to ignore. It's as if Yoda embodies the very essence of Buddhist wisdom, reminding us that true power lies not in physical strength, but in the cultivation of a peaceful, compassionate heart. So the next time you watch Yoda on screen, pay attention to the depth of his teachings and the way he embodies the core principles of Buddhism. You might just find yourself saying, "Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter." And realizing that the path to enlightenment is closer than you ever imagined.
Do or do not. There is no try.
In The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda famously tells Luke, "Do or do not. There is no try." At first glance, this might seem like nothing more than a catchy one-liner. But when we dig deeper, we discover a profound lesson about the power of mindfulness. You see, when Yoda says, "There is no try," he's not suggesting that we shouldn't make an effort. Instead, he's encouraging us to be fully present and committed to the task at hand. He's urging us to let go of our doubts, fears, and distractions, and to focus our minds on the present moment. This is the essence of mindfulness, the practice of bringing our attention to the here and now, without judgment or distraction. And it's a concept that lies at the very heart of Buddhist meditation. In Buddhism, mindfulness is often described as the path to liberation from suffering. By learning to observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them, we can begin to break free from the cycle of reactivity and distress that so often plagues our lives. Think about it. How many times have you found yourself stuck in a loop of negative thoughts, replaying past regrets, or worrying about future uncertainties? When we're trapped in these patterns, it's easy to feel like we're struggling against an invisible force, much like Luke trying to raise his X-Wing from the swamp. But as Yoda teaches, the key to overcoming these challenges lies not in some external power, but in the strength of our own minds. By cultivating mindfulness, we can learn to observe our thoughts and emotions with clarity and equanimity, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with greater wisdom and resilience. So, how can we apply this lesson to our own lives? One simple way is to start a daily meditation practice. Even just a few minutes of sitting quietly and focusing on your breath can help to calm your mind and bring you into the present moment. Another way is to practice mindfulness in your daily activities. Whether you're washing dishes, walking to work, or having a conversation with a friend, try to bring your full attention to the task at hand. Notice the sensations, thoughts, and emotions that arise without getting caught up in them. As you begin to cultivate mindfulness, you may find that life's challenges start to lose their grip on you. You may discover a greater sense of peace, clarity, and resilience, even in the face of adversity. So if you find yourself struggling with a difficult task or emotion, remember Yoda's wise words: do or do not. There is no try. Embrace the power of mindfulness and trust in the strength of your own mind to guide you through.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
Let's dive deeper into another crucial lesson from Yoda and Buddhism: the importance of overcoming fear and attachment. In the Star Wars universe, we see the destructive power of fear play out time and time again. From Anakin Skywalker's descent into darkness to Luke's struggle with the temptation of the dark side, fear is often portrayed as the ultimate enemy of the Jedi. And it's no wonder why. As Yoda wisely observes, fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. This powerful statement echoes a fundamental Buddhist teaching about the root causes of our distress. In Buddhism, fear and attachment are seen as two of the greatest obstacles to inner peace and enlightenment. When we're consumed by fear, whether it's fear of loss, failure, or the unknown, we become trapped in a cycle of anxiety and suffering. We cling to the illusion of control, desperately trying to hold on to the things we love and push away the things we don't. But as Yoda and the Buddha both teach, this kind of attachment only leads to more suffering. The more we try to grasp and cling, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment and pain. True freedom comes from letting go, from learning to accept the impermanence of all things and finding peace in the present moment. Think of Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, when he has a vision of his friends in danger. Driven by fear and attachment, he rushes off to save them, ignoring Yoda's warnings about the dangers of leaving his training incomplete. As a result, he nearly loses his life and sets himself back on his path to becoming a Jedi. It's a powerful reminder that fear and attachment can cloud our judgment and lead us astray, even when our intentions are good. So, how can we learn to overcome these destructive emotions? One key teaching from both Yoda and Buddhism is the practice of non-attachment. This doesn't mean that we shouldn't care about the people and things in our lives. Rather, it means learning to love and appreciate them without clinging or trying to control the outcome. It means recognizing that change is a natural part of life, and that everything, from our possessions to our relationships to our own bodies, is impermanent. By learning to let go of our attachments and embrace the present moment, we can find a deeper sense of peace and freedom. Another important lesson is the power of facing our fears head-on. As Yoda tells Luke, "Named must be your fear before banish it you can." In other words, we can't overcome our fears by running away from them or pretending they don't exist. We have to confront them directly, with courage and compassion. This might mean having a difficult conversation with a loved one, taking a risk in our career, or simply sitting with our own discomfort and anxiety. By learning to face our fears with an open heart and a willing spirit, we can begin to break free from their grip and live with greater ease and authenticity. So, the next time you find yourself caught in the clutches of fear or attachment, remember the wise words of Yoda. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. Embrace the power of non-attachment and trust in your own inner strength to guide you through.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
In Return of the Jedi, Yoda imparts a powerful message to Luke just before he passes away. He says, "When gone am I, the last of the Jedi will you be. The Force runs strong in your family. Pass on what you have learned." At first glance, this might seem like a simple passing of the torch. But when we look deeper, we discover a profound lesson about letting go of control. You see, throughout the Star Wars saga, the Jedi are often portrayed as the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. They wield incredible power and are revered as wise and noble warriors. But as Yoda reveals in his final moments, the true strength of the Jedi lies not in their ability to control the world around them, but in their willingness to surrender to the will of the Force. This idea is echoed in the Buddhist concept of non-self, or anatta. According to this teaching, our sense of a separate, unchanging self is an illusion. In reality, we are constantly changing, interconnected beings, shaped by the ever-shifting conditions around us. When we cling to the illusion of control, we set ourselves up for suffering. We try to force the world to conform to our desires and expectations, and we feel frustrated and anxious when things don't go our way. We might even start to blame ourselves or others for our difficulties, further entrenching ourselves in negative patterns of thought and behavior. But as Yoda wisely reminds us, you must unlearn what you have learned. In other words, we must let go of our preconceived notions and attachments and learn to flow with the natural rhythm of life. We must recognize that true power comes not from trying to control the world around us, but from aligning ourselves with the greater wisdom of the universe. Think about Luke's journey throughout the Star Wars films. At first, he is eager to learn the ways of the Force and become a powerful Jedi like his father. But as he grows and matures, he begins to realize that true mastery comes not from accumulating more power or knowledge, but from letting go of his ego and surrendering to the will of the Force. In the end, it is this spirit of surrender that allows Luke to confront Darth Vader and the Emperor with compassion and wisdom, rather than anger and aggression. He recognizes that he cannot control the outcome of their confrontation, but he can choose to act with integrity and love, trusting in the ultimate goodness of the universe. So, how can we apply this lesson to our own lives? One way is to practice mindfulness and self-reflection, observing our thoughts and reactions without judgment. When we catch ourselves trying to control people or situations, we can gently remind ourselves to let go and trust in the natural unfolding of life. We can also cultivate a spirit of curiosity and openness, approaching each moment with a beginner's mind. Instead of clinging to our preconceived ideas and expectations, we can learn to embrace the unknown and flow with the changing currents of life. Ultimately, the lesson of non-control is one of deep trust and surrender. It's about recognizing that while we may not always have power over our external circumstances, we always have a choice in how we respond to them. By aligning ourselves with the greater wisdom of the universe, we can find a sense of peace, purpose, and freedom, even in the midst of life's challenges. So the next time you find yourself struggling to control the uncontrollable, remember Yoda's wise words. You must unlearn what you have learned. Let go of the illusion of control and trust in the force that flows through us all.
Luminous beings are we.
In The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda tells Luke, "You must feel the force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere." This simple statement encapsulates a profound truth about the nature of reality, that we are all intimately connected, not just to each other, but to every living being in the universe. In Buddhism, this idea is known as dependent origination, or pratityasamutpada. According to this teaching, everything in the universe arises in dependence upon other things. Nothing exists in isolation, but rather as part of a vast, intricate web of cause and effect, stretching across space and time. When we begin to recognize this deep interconnectedness, it naturally gives rise to a sense of compassion and empathy. We realize that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for everyone and everything around us. We start to see that our happiness and suffering are intimately bound up with the happiness and suffering of all beings. This is why Yoda is so insistent on the importance of compassion and selflessness. He understands that true power comes not from serving our own narrow interests, but from working for the greater good of all. As he tells Luke, a Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack. Think about the moment in Return of the Jedi when Vader is dying, and Luke removes his mask to look upon his father's face for the first time. In that moment, Luke sees beyond the fearsome exterior of Darth Vader to the wounded, suffering human being beneath. He feels compassion for his father, even after all the terrible things he has done. This is the essence of the Bodhisattva ideal in Buddhism, the aspiration to attain enlightenment not just for oneself, but for the sake of all beings. Like Luke, we are called to look beyond superficial differences and divisions, and to recognize the fundamental humanity in everyone we meet. Of course, cultivating this kind of compassion is not always easy. It requires us to confront our own biases and judgments, and to extend empathy and understanding, even to those who have harmed us. But as Yoda reminds us, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. In other words, our true nature is one of light and love, not darkness and division. One powerful way to cultivate compassion is through the practice of metta, or loving kindness meditation. This involves silently repeating phrases of goodwill and care, first for ourselves, then for our loved ones, then for neutral parties, and finally for those we find difficult or challenging. Over time, this practice can help us to soften our hearts and expand our circle of concern to include all beings. We can also practice compassion in our daily lives by looking for opportunities to be of service to others. Whether it's volunteering for a cause we believe in, offering a listening ear to someone in need, or simply performing small acts of kindness and generosity, each action creates ripples of positive change that extend far beyond our immediate circle. As we learn to cultivate compassion and recognize our interconnectedness, we naturally begin to live with greater wisdom, purpose, and joy. We realize that our true happiness comes not from serving ourselves, but from contributing to the well-being of all. So, let us take Yoda's words to heart and feel the force that binds us all together. Let us practice compassion and selflessness, trusting that each small act of kindness and care has the power to transform not just our own lives, but the lives of countless others. For in the end, we are all luminous beings, united in the vast and mysterious web of life. As we come to the end of our journey, exploring the profound wisdom of Yoda and Buddhism, I hope you've discovered some valuable insights and practices that you can take with you on your own path. Whether you're a lifelong Star Wars fan or a curious seeker of truth, the teachings we've explored today have the power to transform our lives in countless ways. By cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and a deep sense of connection to the world around us, we can navigate life's challenges with greater ease, purpose, and joy. But the path of wisdom is not always an easy one. There will be times when we feel lost, discouraged, or overwhelmed by the darkness in ourselves and the world around us. In those moments, it's important to remember that we are never alone. Like Luke Skywalker, we have the support of wise teachers, caring friends, and the boundless energy of the Force that surrounds and sustains us. So as you go forth from this moment, I encourage you to stay curious, stay committed, and stay compassionate. Keep exploring the rich wisdom of the Jedi and the Buddha, and find ways to integrate their teachings into your daily life. Share what you've learned with others, and be a force for good in the world, in whatever way feels authentic and meaningful to you. If you haven't already, I highly encourage you to watch or revisit the Star Wars movies with a new perspective. As we've seen throughout our journey today, these films are not just thrilling adventures in a galaxy far, far away. They're also profound spiritual teachings, rich with wisdom and insight that can guide us on our own path of growth and awakening. As you watch these beloved stories unfold, pay close attention to the words and actions of Master Yoda and the other Jedi. Notice how their teachings align with the core principles of Buddhism, and reflect on how you can apply these lessons to your own life. And if you found value in this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. By spreading the wisdom of Yoda and Buddhism, you can help others on their own journey of personal growth and awakening. Also, we'd love to hear your thoughts on our new Buddhism in Pop Culture initiative. Let us know in the comments below, and feel free to suggest other pop culture topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. Remember, the journey of awakening is not one we take alone. Like the Jedi and the Rebel Alliance, we are all part of a greater movement, working together to bring more light, more love, and more wisdom into the world. So, my friends, let us go forth with courage, compassion, and a deep commitment to the path of wisdom. Let us be the change we wish to see in the galaxy, and trust in the power of the Force to guide us every step of the way. Thank you for being here, and may your path be filled with wonder, wisdom, and boundless love. Farewell, my fellow Padawans, and may the Force be with you, always.